Welcome back YouTube. My name is Dennis Panuta for tutorials.eu. In this video, we're going to check out strings, which is a data type that we can use for text. So let's dive right into it. Now that you've seen what variables are, we will have to check out strings because they are the next important topic on the list. So let's go ahead and create a new file for that, or at least I'm going to do that. You don't need to do that if you just want to keep on using the same file. That's totally fine. All right, and I'm gonna rename it. I'm gonna call it strings straight away. And there is something about strings that you should know. First of all, we had this print hello world. And now hello world, what is inside of the quotation marks, that is called a string. So let me execute that and we get hello world printed onto the console. So that's nothing new. The only thing that is new is that this is called a string and we haven't touched on that yet. Now you can go ahead, of course, and create a variable that contains a string. So let's say somebody is called Max. So you could simply create a variable which contains the name of a person or of multiple people and so forth. So if we execute that, and well, if we just say something like, hi, I'm Max, or I'm not Max, but I'm plus name, then we will see it says, hi, I'm Max, even though we said name here. So we used the name variable in order to add something to a string. So as you can see, we use this plus here to use concatenation. And concatenation is called this approach here, where we add one string to another, and that's what we do. And it's different to what we had here, where we just said 5 plus 4 or something like that. That's not concatenation, that's just summation, where we just add one value to another. But what if we want to combine that? What if we want to say show the age, for example, of a person? So let's say we have age is 22, and then we print something like print I am and plus age and something like years old. So if we do that, we get an error. We get a type error, which says here, type error must be str, not int. What that means is must be a string, not an integer. So now this age variable contains a value of 22, which is an integer. And what we say here, add a integer to a string and then add another string to it. So that's what this print statement says here. And if we instead would have said something like 22 and we execute that code with shift enter, we see I'm 22 years old. Maybe we should add an empty space in here. That works, right? Because we have 3 strings next to another. We could, of course, also skip the plus sign here. We won't need that. Well, we don't need that in this example. But if we want to use age here, then we need to use a different approach. So let's say I am 15 years old, and now what we use is the correct approach, where we print I'm plus str age plus, hey, don't forget to subscribe and like the video, years old. And here I also add an empty space so it reads better. So we are, I'm 22 years old. As you can see, it takes over the variable from here towards the bottom to the next cell here that we are running it in. And what we do here is we use the string method. What this does, it says, okay, I take this variable here and I try to create a string out of it. In this case, it's easily possible because the age is a integer, or an integer. So it says it has a value of 22. So I'm fine converting a value of 22 as an integer into a string. So that's our first function that we use here. This little function allows us to do something which we don't have to program. That's a cool thing because it just says, okay, I'm taking this value and I'm making a string out of it. All right, to sum it up again, a string is a data type. And there are multiple different types. For example, integer is also a data type, and we've seen that. It's just containing numbers. A string contains text. And you create a string by using the quotation marks here. So whatever was within two quotation marks, that is a string. All right, and we created this hello world string, and we just handed it over to this print statement, which gave us this hello world text onto the console. We can also store strings within variables, and we can use those variables in order to concatenate them with other strings. So this is a string, and we say, okay, just put this other string next to it. Then, of course, we have to be careful if we use a different data type, for example, the data type of integers, of whole numbers. That's what we have here. And we cannot simply add an integer to our text. That doesn't work. So Python doesn't understand what you want to do with that. If you still want to do it, you need to use this string function, which simply makes an integer into a string. So it transforms it into a string. It simply converts it pretty much. All right. So I'd say we are done with this very short first chapter, and we're gonna look into lists and other topics in the next chapter. But first of all, following comes a quiz. If you manage to finish that, then you can skip the exercise which comes afterwards, or you can check out the exercise. So see you in the next video. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, then please leave a like. And if you have any questions or suggestions, then leave a comment. And of course, don't forget to subscribe. And by the way, if you really love the content and you would like to have more of it, or pretty much all of it, then of course, check out the link in the description to my whole course. See you in the next video.
We'll grow in number, fueled by them to see the horizon, turn us to thousands.